Welcome back, Aaron Schoolfield with Astec Industries. We're here today to talk about something very exciting and important to the asphalt industry, and that's moisture. Why that's important to the asphalt production and our solution at Astec called IntelliPac Moisture System. We have Trevor Wagoner here, our Director of Sustainability, to help us dive in. We've actually been working on this project for over 2 years. So, Trevor, what's the big deal about moisture and why are we here talking about it?
Great question, Aaron. Moisture is probably the most important factor at an asphalt plant. It impacts how much fuel your burner is consuming when you're drying the material. It impacts how much liquid asphalt you're dosing into the mix. And the amazing thing is that most plants don't have a really great understanding of how much moisture is in their material, how it's changing, and how it's impacting their production. Think about it this way. Think about you're in your car, you're driving through the mountains, and you're trying to hold a constant speed, but you're trying to do it with no windshield. Your windshield's blocked off, you're going over mountains, you're going down into valleys. You have no idea what's impacting how fast or slow you need to be driving your car. That's kind of what plants are doing right now. They're at best getting a single data point every day. They've got a lab person who will go out and burn off moisture samples from their stockpiles. You know, at best it's happening once a day. I've been to plants where it's not happening nearly that much. So plants are kind of flying blind, and this factor is so critically important, and they just have no idea, they have very little idea what's going on.
So we've learned a lot about moisture over the years. Let's dive into the actual application, the solution itself. How did we get there?
So what we're trying to do and what we've done with this solution is provide a real-time measurement of the moisture of those raw materials. So what we've got behind us is we've got a set of sensors that are installed on the cold feed bins. These sensors are providing a data stream into your controls. We're trying to give that plant operator more data, more awareness into the moisture. And then we're trying to do that without adding to their workload. So that moisture value is tied directly into the control system, fully integrated.
So once the controls gets the signal, what's happening? What is the operator experiencing?
Great question. The beauty of this system is that the operator really doesn't have to do very much. So typically at an asphalt plant, your operator is going to be entering moistures for the materials in their mix design. They're manually entering that value, and then the plant is just running with that value for that production run. This system is taking that manually entered value and it is replacing it with a live data stream from the sensor on the cold feed bins. From that point forward in the controls, everything stays exactly the same. So we are replacing that manually entered value with a live data stream from a moisture sensor. Pretty straightforward.
So during our 2.5 years of doing this, what have we learned along the way?
Learned a lot of really, really great, important lessons. First thing's pretty obvious, that the sensor that you pick matters, right? This is not the first time that our industry has tried to do this. We've spent decades trying to find a moisture sensor that's going to not only give a reliable and accurate moisture measurement, but more importantly, survive in an asphalt plant environment. So the sensor that you pick really matters a lot. The other thing that we discovered is that where you put the sensor has just as much of an impact on the success of the system overall. We tried putting moisture sensors on a couple different places at an asphalt plant, and what we found was that putting the moisture sensors on the cold feed bins is the best location to give you a consistent and reliable data stream for the moisture in that virgin material.
So this system is going to be automating the moisture value signal into the controls. There's got to be some safeguards to that for a plant operator. Tell us about the safeguards for the system.
Yeah, absolutely. So a system like this, it's replacing that manual value with an automatic one. The result is that, your plant is going to be reacting in real time with AC content, burner firing rate, all these things that are really important, but really expensive. So a lot of times people get nervous when we say that we are going to be influencing those in some way. We wanted to recognize that. We also wanted to provide a solution that the operator doesn't feel like they have to constantly babysit to make sure that it's going to be operating correctly. So these sensors are monitoring the value that they're sending back to the controls. And if the value leaves an expected range, then the sensor is going to basically fail safe to an expected value, throw a warning up to the operator so that they know that they need to go check the system. So essentially what that means is that your sensor is going to have the control that it needs to have when the plant is operating normally. If some weird scenario comes through that the sensor doesn't recognize or the plant controls don't think is acceptable or expected based on what that plant would normally run, it fails safe. Our goal was that this is never going to operate the plant any worse than the manual control that you've always used to run an asphalt plant.
Feel pretty safe that those safeguards are going to default, like you mentioned, back to the manual.
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, all of this was developed very closely with actual asphalt producers. This isn't just engineers sitting in a room coming up with ideas for how they think a plant should work. All of this was built directly off of feedback that we had from several different producers who were really excited and engaged to work with us.
Yeah, we had a full team from engineering to the plant personnel to service and sales, all involved.
Yep, it's great.
Biggest question: what value would a contractor gain by adopting and adding this to their asphalt production process?
That is the big question. So thinking back to the analogy earlier, right, of driving your car through the mountains, system like this, we're giving you a windshield. We're letting you see what is coming down the road at your asphalt plant so that it can react in real time. Lots of different values here. The name of the game is consistency and quality of production. Some plants have seen a lot of value here because they are no longer overshooting their AC content when the loader drops a really wet bucket of sand, or maybe they get a really wet shipment from the quarry that day. Other producers have seen value because it's making the job of the lab guy easier. He's not having to constantly chase his AC content over the course of a production run or even from day to day. We had one lab guy say that between 2 days, shut down one day to start up the next day, he could not tell a difference between the quality of the mix, and they didn't touch anything at the plant. They just let the system do its job.
That is huge, and that's exciting. I mean, we're breaking years of barriers of coming up with a solution like that.
Absolutely. If consistency and quality of mix matters to you, a solution like this is absolutely a game changer.
Astec IntelliPac Moisture System makes adjustments in real time, giving you the confidence and consistency during plant production, even during unexpected moisture. Please visit our website or contact your local sales rep for more.